you may or may not know this, but men and women aren't the same thing. I mean, we are biologically completely different. Now, I know to some of you that may seem like yeah, easy, no crap, Jay. But unfortunately, via academia, we have generations of Americans, Canadians, Western folk who believe the exact opposite. They were raised to believe the exact opposite, and much of that is thanks to gender theory. We've gone into gender theory often on this channel, and well, another opportunity has presented itself, and so weird that we have the male-female dynamics at play right here on screen. The gentleman on the right is Sargon of Akkad, who, shout out to him for winning that case against Killer, obviously. Now she has to pay him for his legal fees, and thanks to feminist theory, we'll get to you in a second. Yeah, they genuinely believe that, black men love to see black women get beat. So yeah, good on you, my guy. Sargon's honorary black man. And on the left is feminist icon. That's right, icon. Lindsay Ellis. Now, you may be familiar. She's been on the internet for a really long time. She was the nostalgia chick on Channel Awesome. And she's been doing a lot of, she did an entire documentary, which is why I call her a feminist icon. She did an entire documentary about her abortion. So yeah, with that, you like your child, like your child's sacrifice automatically gives you feminist icon in my book, at least. So all of this is surrounding J.K. Rowling coming out and saying, like, yeah, men and women are different because she's right. And Lindsay Ellis is going to basically try and say no with the help of Reilly. I was about to say Reilly Reid, but Reilly Dennis. And so, I think I've talked long enough. Sargon, take her away.
Let's begin. Lindsay, what's the problem?
So I've been seeing a lot of people on Twitter, a lot of which are in my mentions, discussing death of the author and asking how we should apply this to our newly out and proud, incredibly transphobic J.K. Rowling.
Okay, hold on. We're going to take it back a second there. Man, she hit the wall hard. But JK says if sex isn't real, which is biology, right? If sex isn't real, there's no same-sex attraction. If sex isn't real, the lived reality of women globally is erased. I know and love trans people, but erasing the concept of sex removes the ability of many to meaningfully discuss their lives. It isn't hate speech. It isn't hate to speak the truth, which it is, okay? And that's the danger of gender theory. If you're unfamiliar with John Money and his experiments, I recommend looking it up all the time on this channel. And this is the theory that's been taught in schools. I want to say since like the 90s or like. Yeah, 90s, like it really, the Clinton administration, like really went out of their way to normalize the term of gender. And here we are all these years later.
The transphobic J.K. Rowling. The warning signs were there. It kind of began as like a few months ago when people were noticing that she was liking some really hardcore right-wing TERFy tweets. TERF meaning trans exclusionary radical feminist.
So JK...
Basically women that appreciate that they are women, that recognize that difference between the male and the female. That's what TERF is.
Rowling is a TERF, a gender-critical feminist who is opposed to the intersectional feminists on the basis of what it is to be a woman.
Like just within the last 24 hours, we have her comparing providing gender services to young people with gay conversion therapy, linking to fringe weirdos and Medium posts like it's like some authority.
Well, we definitely don't want public figures who get millions of views promoting fringe weirdos to their audiences, do we, Lindsay? So what are you using as the bedrock of your own beliefs in opposition to J.K. Rowling?
biological sex is, in fact, much more complicated than the simple X and Y chromosome. Trans YouTuber Reilly Dennis did a video on the subject a few years ago.
Miss Worski. I really miss Worski. Because when you say Reilly Dennis, I think of Andy Worski. Ah, man, God bless the guy wherever he is out there in the world. But yeah. Um, uh, man, she's hitting the wall, man. She really is. I mean, don't get it twisted. I still a stroke without question. I'd love to know what that mouth do. I mean, condoms without, seriously, guys, like, she'd kill the baby. But either ways, here she is trying, this is what she's doing right now, is basically dismissing biology. And this is something that she's been, like, more than likely been taught in all of these, grievance studies classes that she's taken and she's been involved with, over the course of her life. I mean, what we're looking at right here, like her content, right? She wanted to show the nostalgia chick, and I checked out a couple of episodes. It was cool, but eventually it always ended up into like just a really big, as far as what I heard, a complaint fest. It was like, oh, well, this is sexist. Oh, well, this is so problematic. This is like there's so many issues here and stuff like that. And it's just like, lady, like, it was what it was at the time. Are you going to add anything? Can you add anything? And it's rarely nothing of substance or anything that would be palatable. It's like, I consider her a more competent Anita Sarkeesian, if you get the reference.
So I'll go ahead and link to that, and I'll let her speak to that issue. That's not what we're talking about.
Ah, yes. Trans YouTuber Reilly Dennis, who doesn't believe in biological sex. Definitely not a fringe weirdo. So we have to take a segue off of the path of Lindsay Ellis's train of thought in order to figure out what exactly it is that Reilly Dennis is proposing. Now, Lindsay linked two different videos, but both dealing with the same subject, and called some variant of the phrase, biological sex does not exist. J.K. Rowling is in direct opposition to this assertion.
As are we all. Well, at least, I am. When I was a kid in the 90s and I saw that change, I was paying attention. I was like, why is it all of a sudden say gender? We've had this covered through biology for the longest time, but the reason being is to create generations of automatic victims, of people people much like Miss Ellis, who've been basically trained to really see the problem and not just not let it just roll off their shoulder or like something like that, or like take something like that would be just a quirky observation initially and just blow it up beyond all proportion. And somehow, and this is particularly easy with the feminine and the feminine minded, guys with, the Y chromosomes that, operate with the X chromosome, with the X chromosome way of thinking or brain length, how they can sit there and like, oh my goodness, well, me, and be so selfish about things and not even truly consider, an opposing viewpoint or seeing things in the opposite direction. And that's a big part of the reason why we have a lot of the Antifa and BLM and the issues that we're having now, is because it's been like since the 90s, it's been about 30 years of this stuff.
Believes that sex is real, and sex being real is the basis of, say, things like same-sex partnerships or women's experiences in the world, which is what Lindsay actually links to. And then she goes on to say that, in fact, nobody is saying that biological sex doesn't exist.
And as is the case with so many transphobes, she is arguing against a position that nobody actually has.
The two videos she is citing are specifically arguing that biological sex isn't real.
And I really want to point out the circular logic or the hamster wheel, or once again, the chaotic nature that is femininity that's gone completely unchecked here. Because that's the thing about masculinity. Masculinity is the stick that you throw into that logic wheel that just keeps spinning and spinning and spinning and stops it. And that's why I call it a sense stick, guys. That's why I say all these broads need a sense stick in their life, or they can work themselves into in circles. They can really just a dog chasing its tail. And if it catches it, it just doesn't know what they do with it.
This is the case with so many transphobes. She is arguing against a position that nobody actually has.
Biological sex has to undergo the same paradigm shift that gender did. We need to start thinking about it as a social construct.
See, I Reilly did it. Man, Worski and his brother Chris, man, Andy Worski and his brother Chris, this was some of their best work. Honestly, it was just really just going ham at Reilly Dennis's nonsense, because that's all it really is. Guys, come on, for real. Like, for real. Here's the thing. When it doesn't seem as if someone when someone's making all these different, excuses for themselves and really trying to convince everyone else and their mother of, this is perfectly sane. Unfortunately, it's just, that's not the type of person that you probably should be taking, life cues from.
Rather than an inarguable fact. So if you're a trans woman, you're female. If you're a trans man, you're male.
There's a part of me that wonders if Lindsay's aware of this, but what I find really interesting is this bit.
No one is saying chromosomes are not real, Joanne.
As you're going to see, that's only because they can't. They have argued that everything else doesn't exist, but chromosomes are the last piece in the puzzle that they can't make go away. And so Reilly Dennis's conclusion is that chromosomes don't do anything. Let's take a look at Reilly's argument and see how she gets to the conclusion that biological sex is a social construct.
Chromosomes themselves are not social constructs, but deciding to call XX chromosomes female and XY chromosomes male is a social construct. Now, I'm not saying that classifying...
Oh my goodness. It's so annoying. Like, the voice is super annoying. And what you're going to see here is, I guess, a XY version of that same circular logic that Lindsay was spewing.
Is wrong, or that we shouldn't try to understand bodies at all, but I do think we could do it better.
So Reilly is taking a fundamental contention with the accuracy of the language that we are using for. Now, I think it's important to note that at this point, the Darwinian position on sex is that procreation is the purpose of courtship. The gender roles of man and woman exist to facilitate this courtship, and this is why they are tied to the reproductive roles of male and female, which has the ultimate goal of siring children. But Reilly's position is actually a lot more direct than that.
What you need for reproduction is one person who can produce functioning sperm and one person who can produce functioning ovum. Our decision to call people who usually can produce sperm male and people who can usually produce ovum female is a system that we invented. And you don't stop being female if you can't.
We also invented the word rock. We also invented the word hat. We also invented wallpaper. We invented all of these things, and there are standards, and there's standards there. And guess what? We didn't invent them. They were put here by people way smarter than us long before any of us got here. And it's so infuriating to really hear these types of folks try to break down their science, because it's nonsense, and it's actually very regressive. It drags us as a collective back, because we got to slow down I was the kid in class that hated whenever the teacher would be like, hey, so that's everything. I'll let you go if nobody has any questions. And then some jackass raises their hand in class. You are the slow kid in class. We slow down for you. And honestly, you really shouldn't. We really shouldn't. Hey, if you want, by all means, Reilly Dennis, if you would like to live your life in this capacity, by all means, go ahead, do it. But to sit here and try to convince others that, yeah, this isn't 130% abnormal is bullshit. All right. So guys, with that being said, we're going to bring this one to an end. All the internet stuff. If you liked it, toss it a like, dislike, go ahead, do that too. No, but let's take it back to Lindsay Ellis, because I mean, of the females in this video, right? Oh yeah, she looks totally drunk right there. Of the females in this video, this one actually has a vagina. So with that being said, guys, we're gonna bring this one to an end. All the internet stuff. If you liked it, toss it a like, dislike, go ahead, do that too. Nobody's scared of you. Sub if you jump a fantastic voice. You want to get videos like this every single day. Share it, because sharing is caring. And YouTube and Bitchute and like aren't the biggest fans of your boy over here for very obvious reasons. Bang the bell for notifications and go get something from the Teespring. That Antifa little emblem that I did. Yeah, that's a new shirt. It's up in the merch shop. Link in the description. And let me know what you guys think in the comments. Yeah, like this has been ongoing for 40, 50 years. I specifically just remember that change happening, and I could be wrong, but I remember the change from biological sex, male or female, being like standard on all forms, to gender being like almost standard on all forms, taking place during the Clinton administration. Like that's it, and it was put there specifically to create the times that we currently live in, where you got all these people who were raised under this idea, under this guise of, oh yeah, boys and girls are equal, and anything you can do, I can do better. And it's just like, look, no one's trying. Like me personally, ladies, I love you to death. You do all have, you can. You have a large capability of being able to offer plenty, but you also have an insane ability to be able to destroy. All right, so we'll leave it at that. And if you disagree, well, that's what I have a comment section for, right? Until the next one, guys.